Welcome back, my friends. In this episode, we're going to be continuing on this Porsche restoration project, this 914. And in this part, we are going to be starting the body restoration portion. And particularly, we're getting our panels aligned. Have you ever seen a 914 that has the rear trunk sitting up high like this on one side and it just won't close? Or a 914 with a bulging fender, or a 914 where the closed headlights just don't seem to align correctly. Usually it's because the car has been in an accident at some point. While every 914 is different and has a different lived experience, these are problems that I've seemed to have found on just about every 914 that has needed a little bit of body work and paint. So in this video, I'm going to show how I got this 914 back into shape, getting all the panels back into alignment before paint. If you haven't done so already, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. And as always, interested in your comments in the comment section. So since the last episode, off screen, we did a complete 5-lug conversion of the car. As you can see, it really looks a lot better with these wheels on it than those ugly ones that were on it before. So much better looking in just about all angles. The Fuchs wheels really go with the 914 very well. Not every wheel goes with every car, but the Fuchs wheels certainly goes with the 914. So one of the things we're going to be doing is the paint and body. One of the things that doesn't really go, in my opinion, is these black stripes. The lid is going to need some work. We removed previously removed a luggage rack that was on here. That was not very attractive. We got rid of that, welded it up. So we'll need to do a little bit of additional work on these. The car has the the typical dent here, where people like to press down on the weakest area of the lid to latch it. And of course, you should really only ever push right here. So that will need to be done. On this side, this is probably the worst area. We've got all of this cracking going on here. And this fender here is pretty solid with Bondo body filler there. So we're gonna need to strip this down and redo it. We have little rust happening right there, nothing major. We have right here, we have some dents right here low in the door. It looks like, did somebody ride on here, or did the paint just crack? Either way, yeah, the paint is cracking here quite a bit. Yeah. So this door is going to need some work. There's a big crease right here. And low right here. On the front fenders, we've already removed these lights right here. Try to give it the more streamlined European treatment there. We're going to be replacing this guy here. It looks like some sort of CB era antenna, or don't know exactly what, but that just really doesn't look good here. Gonna be replacing that with the proper one. And up here, I've already replaced the windshield, and I've treated the rust that's in the channel there. We've got a little bit of rust that needs to be kind of worked out, treated, and filled in. And a few rust spots, nothing major. Again, I've already repaired some of the rust that was going on there. And so then this side, this door has a few dings in it too, but not as bad as the other door. And that is the state of this car. Overall, it's getting in a lot better shape. It's in pretty good shape. But we've recently redid the rockers here, and it looks really good. It's all been repainted down here already. So, obviously here there's some rust. Somebody's touched it up. But yeah, we definitely need to grind that out and see what's going on there. And this rear fender is in decent shape, so that about wraps up the overview of what needs to be done. So a moderate amount of body work needs to be done. At this point, and get this thing to where it looks really good again. All right, so this whole quarter panel has got some very cracked paint on it. What I'm going to be doing at a minimum is removing the paint on this quarter panel here, and underneath it there's a lot of body filler, and we're going to see if we cannot remove that and then redo it. I'm going to be using this this drum stripper, and it does a good job of stripping material without creating a lot of dust. So I'm going to go get some go get a little mask, put on. So we got multiple layers of paint here going on, and that's probably the reason for all the cracking going on there. Okay, so we've been working on it a good 20-30 minutes here, and this is what we've come up with. I had to turn the fan on. We're just getting too much dust in the shop here. So I believe what I'm going to do is just pull this car outside and just really let loose on it, because I've been trying to do this with keeping the RPMs low on this thing, but it's just taking forever. We've got some really thick layered on Bondo, it looks like. And we just really want to get all that off, but I'm just making too much dust in here, and I don't want to have to deal with all that, so I think we take it outside. Okay, this is our car. It is just caked full of Bondo, and I've been working on it a little off and on, but now I'm just going to try to get all this knocked out. We've got Bondo from here to somewhere in the door, and it's been cracking, and we're just going to try to get it off. I have the car outside now, and I'm going to put a little mask on and just try to get this knocked out. So as you can see, we've got body filler everywhere, and we've just got absolutely too much body filler. And how do we know we have too much? Because in every spot that I've grinded off, I'm always finding a good 1/4 inch of filler here, and you should expect to find some spots of metal, but no, the whole thing is just body filler. And that's why it also has this thud to it when you hit the body, as opposed to So here we have, again, the whole thing is covered with what, a minimum 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch, if not more. And there's absolutely no need for this amount of filler on there, because at no point was the metal actually part of the surface. The whole thing is covered with thick Bondo. Oh well. Enough complaining about other people's work. One thing good about this drum stripper is that it does not heat up the metal while you're doing these grinding process here. And it's starting to get dark, but I really want to get this finished. Really hate this part. Well, getting pretty dark out here, and looks like ashes have fallen on the car. And look at all the floor, this full of Bondo. But we're getting it. Let's see. Show more in the daylight. Look, I captured the first star. It's probably Jupiter. Well, it's the next morning and I'm ready to get back at it. But first, Super needs his playtime. Well, good morning. It is morning the next day on this, and we can now look at this with a little more light. So we look at the car now with all the thick Bondo removed, and we feel it does have dents. It's got dents all over it, but I really think a little more working of the metal, we'll be able to get it with just a skim, thin coat of filler over the whole thing. But look at all this mess. It's a good thing I did it outside. Really made a mess. So this is just a little tip here. If you are restoring your 914 and you, no matter what adjustments you make on the latch here, you find that on one side or sometimes both sides, it just will not, the hood will not come down enough right here. It always sticks up on one side, and you notice that you had bodywork done on one of the sides, or there's an existing dent. What a lot of times what happens is when the car is hit from behind, it causes the fender, this area, to go down, and it results in the fender bowing out here a little bit. And so that's the dynamics of what had happened. And so it's very difficult to get this to line up again until you take measure to straighten this out. Now, one way I found to remedy this is by taking a long 2x4, longer than this, and you're going to need to trim it down a little so that it can fit in here, right? And what you're going to want to do is then basically go through this way and line it up here. Put you some plywood here so you don't create any dents here. And then with this long 2x4 held out here, you basically going to lift, and you'll find that this whole fender will just kind of come back up into place, and this bowed section will sort of shrink back. I'm always able to get my cars having that perfect lining up here, where the hood is not perpetually sitting up high. And I've even seen some cars where it seems like they're even freshly painted, but they're still, the body man just didn't get to work out why the thing is never lining up. So it's because there was an accident at some point. The vehicle got hit either from the side or from the back, and it basically always seems to push down and bow out these fenders, you know. So these are just little things we can do that when we're restoring these cars, we can get everything to look, you know, spot on again, so we're not just stuck with things that look a little funny or out of place, or why doesn't this close, or why doesn't that line up. Just little things that you can do. And that's a tip I would suggest for anybody who's got one of these. If you look at your fender and it's like a little bowed out, and it's got this little rise here, like it just will never close right. So one of the things that's always peculiar about these 914s is getting this light area here to sort of look correctly. I've done some work already here. It was in worse shape than this, so I've tweaked it a little bit already. But as you can see here, the gap over here is so much larger than it is over there. And that just makes the car look just a little unsorted. I've traced it down. I think I know what the problem is, but I'm going to have to remove this bumper to do it. I believe when they put this aftermarket, not aftermarket, replacement fender, I think it's a genuine fender from Porsche, but when they put that on, this is a little bit incorrect the way they put it on here, but I can't verify that till I pull this bumper off. So to remove the front bumper, pretty simple. It's 2 bolts on each side of the car. I'll just use a machine like so to get in there and drive them out. And just as I suspected, this little piece right here of the fender they welded on, notice this piece is sticking out this way, whereas on the original one, it points towards the outside of the car. So that makes not a big difference, but it does make a difference enough so that the bumper top cannot fit where it needs to go. And so it's always sticking out a little farther here.
You can also see how they put that fender on. Whereas here, the original one, and it lines up exactly, and this one lines up with a little bit of a gap. So we might have to do a little bit of work here to try to see if we can overcome some of this discrepancy. Okay, well, by doing that, we've improved it greatly. Now we're able to push our rubber all the way to the body, just like it is on this side. And so our gap is a lot better already. It's not perfect. There's still a little bit large gap here. And I'm going to try to adjust the hood, bring the hood down just a little on this side, very slightly. But I'm also noticing that this hood here is sitting up high on this corner here. And that problem turns out to be due to an improper alignment of the latch. So I'm going to move this over this way a little bit so it falls correctly, because as it is now, it wants to always push to one side. Okay, so there we've improved it a bit. Not perfect, but we're moving in that direction. One of the things I don't like is the gap between the height of the hood and the headlight, and there's a way to adjust that. You have these 3 Allen bolts here, and I'm just going to loosen them up. They're all pretty loose. And then we're going to try to lift this up a bit. And then we're going to tighten it again. One thing to caution about tightening these, don't tighten them too hard, because the material will strip out easily. There's also an adjustment for these headlights as to the height that they sit right here. But for that, you have to go under here, under the fender. And there they are. Just 2 little Allens. It's not a whole lot of adjustment, but there is some, and it did help. It did help there. And so there, it looks quite a bit better already. Still not perfect, but a lot better, and definitely towards the right direction. And this is overall an iterative process. But usually, I haven't come across one yet that I can't make look a lot better by just tweaking things. Okay, so when you're getting your car ready for paint, even if you're not going to paint it yourself, it's a good idea to have all your parts with you beforehand. And what by that I mean all the little seals, everything, because everything's going to fit differently. Once you put a fresh new seal on it, the hood's going to sit a little higher, and you don't want to be dealing with those kind of things after the car is painted. You want to take care of any problem up front. So case in point are these tiny little grommet type things that these go right here. These hold these little eyelets there and keep them in place. So as you can see, this one's those rubbers are pretty well shot, and so it doesn't hold well at all. It sinks lower than it should. I'm going to go ahead and install these and see how these lay, and then that gives me another chance to decide if I need to do any modification to the body prior to painting, prior to doing the nice finishing work on it. Now, as I'm looking where those grommet holes those rubbers are gonna be fitting, you can see that hole there looks a little irregular, and that's due to the impact that occurred at some point in the life of this car. So that got a little crumpled there. So we might expect there to be a little problem with the fitting. So we're gonna go ahead and see how it fits now that it has new rubbers on it. So on this side, as you can see, we've installed the little eyelet there with the new rubber seals, and you can see them right there. And overall, it seems to fit pretty good. We come over here, and we've got a problem. We're sitting closed too tight right there, and overall, this thing looks like it's shifted towards the outside of the car. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to bend the fittings a little bit. So here it is, and as I said, it's sitting too close to the outside of the car. So I'm going to bend this one a bit this way and bend this one a bit that way to see if I can get it to shift a little bit. Needs a little more. And even a little more. We're really having to press it out this way. So there we go. So by bending the tabs, we're able to move it, make it look a lot better, really. So that looks a heck of a lot better. So now I'm going to close the hood and just see how everything looks now. And I'm going to stand back a bit, and you really need a good stand a little bit farther back than this. But we can take a look and see how things are lining up. Still, this side looks, I think, a little cleaner than this side. So just gonna keep working on things. I might adjust this light a little bit more. So I'm questioning why this gap here is so much larger than that side gap. And I have a suspicion that this hood is too far forward on this side. So I have measured on the other side at about right here, and I've come up with about 4.4 millimeters. So now I'm going to measure the same distance, the same gap here, and lo and behold, I've got about 6 millimeters, 6.7. So about I've got about 2 millimeters more difference right here from this hood than that spot over there. And you can bet your life that's going to make a difference as far as how much this hood is too far forward here. So let's see if that cannot have a big difference if we adjust this here. So this is where the adjustment is going to occur. I'm going to do it right here. And this can be tricky because it's hard to control a heavy hood from falling. So I'm going to put a piece of tape right there to let me know that that is the spot where this hood used to lie, so that if I go through the process of adjusting it, I'll know that it's at least not at the same spot after it drops, because once I loosen these, the hood will drop a little bit. Okay. So first we're going to do just a visual inspection. It's looking a lot better. This is lining up a lot closer to that, such as that one is. Now we come here. Or were we shooting for like a 4.4, something like that? So we're still a little high. So we can come a little more this way. So we'll repeat that same process again. Okay, so now I have adjusted the hood again up here. And now when I measure this distance here, it is the same as that distance over there. So I feel good about this now. Now looking here, we still see that this gap here is much larger than this gap here, right? So I'm gonna do some further measurements. I would like to see what this distance is here. So we're looking at about 7, and then here we're looking at about 7.7. That's not a whole lot. That's less than a millimeter. I mean, it is something, but it's not terrible. But here you get, let's say at that corner right there, we get about 5.5. We come over here and we get about 10.25. So this gap here is effectively double the gap over there. And why is that? I have a suspicion because when this fender was replaced, look at that gap there. This gap, although it's not really too noticeable unless you point it out, but that gap is larger than the gap on the other side. And if you look at where this fender lands right here, the fender on the other side lands a little bit more back. So what happened, unfortunately, is when they replaced the fender on that car, they got it off. They got it off about, a millimeter or two. And so this fender is too far this way. How are we going to fix that? The only real way to fix it is to remove this fender. And that's going to certainly increase the cost considerably. So I'm going to have to do some thinking about this, and we'll see what we can do, because removing this fender and replacing it will disrupt the budget of this paint and body work considerably. That is no small task to unbond this fender and move it this way, and then get everything lined up. I'm gonna see if I cannot minimize this with some adjustments of this bumper here. So, and I often have to do little tweaks like that on these cars because they just get beat up over time, and trying to get everything to line up again and to look good. You can do it, but you're gonna have to do little tweaks here and there and stuff like that, or go through the process of removing the whole fender, which that's quite a bit of work. So when I measure from a common reference point on this side, and I'm holding this with one hand on the camera, so, but the distance from up there, that corner on the hood, to here is 43 5/8. I do the same measurement over here, I get 43 1/4 or so. So that has pretty much confirmed to me that this fender is off a bit here. It's a little bit too much forward. What can be done? So I've adjusted this this little eyelet a little bit to take up some of this gap, and of course that gives you more gap here. You know, what's going to be more objectionable? Probably it's going to be a compromise of a little bit of both. Take a little bit of space out of both. I mean, it's not looking too bad right now, but there's one more thing. I'm going to try to take this bumper off and see if there's anything that can be done to push this rubber here more up this way, because it seems like the rubber lands below the body here, but it lands more or less on top of the body here. If I were to tighten this all the way, that rubber would be over the body there. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm about out of options, but I'm going to try one more thing. Is I've removed from this dog bone here the upper little cylinder there, And without that there, it's going to allow me to tighten this top portion even tighter than I'm able to. So it's going to really squeeze this in. But what I'm hoping is that's going to allow the bumper to get squeezed up more over here. Okay, so we were able to push this bumper here in, or pull it in, suck it up by removing that little cylinder there. So that helped that out quite a bit, and now it sits a lot more like it does over here. It's not perfect, but it sure is a heck miles ahead of where it was before. And I believe that I don't think that this is going to be very objectionable anymore. We do have, I'm going to adjust this a little bit so that this can be set so it's a little bit, I'm kind of increasing this gap and decreasing this one just to make it look right. And I think it is looking pretty darn good. And I think this is going to make everything work just fine. Again, these cars all have tolerances that are not like new modern car tolerances, unless maybe, except for maybe Tesla. But so the gaps are not always going to be consistent, but we should be able to make it have a nice look on it again. I think it does. And I think this is all of this little tweaking, adjusting the hood. We're going to do a little modification to this so it sits more this way. And then adjusting of the eye here, and then pushing the bumper more this way. I think this has all helped quite a bit. And I think, you know, again, not perfect, but, you know, let's not let the, what is the saying? Let's not make the perfect the enemy of the good. And I think we have something very good here. So that should be it for tonight. Okay, so that is how everything is looking. And that's pretty good.
And that's going to do it for this episode. If you found any of this helpful, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. That would really help us a lot. And until next time, tschüss.